Zadous. I am a neurospine rep here in Las Vegas. I just won President's Club, woo woo, out of like
Congrats.
150 reps. I finished number 2 overall, unfortunately. The last week, I think a girl sold like a few $1,000s more than me, and she beat me
Oh,
by the number 1 spot. I was number 1 pretty much the entire year, or at least at the very top amongst all the other reps. And at the very last minute, I finished number 2. But I'm grateful. President's Club, my second year with the company. So I'm excited. I'm really happy right now. So it's one of the things I really wanted to achieve, and I made it.
there you
So
go.
yeah, definitely. So if you could tell everyone about you and where you're from.
Yeah, hey, so my name is Idan Nadler. I'm born and raised out of Iowa City. I just graduated from the University of Iowa with a major in finance and public health. Being in medical sales has been kind of a goal of mine for the past 2 years, um, you know, and we'll get into how we got into it. But
Yeah.
I just started working for a third-party distributor for Globus Medical, and we also work with spine and neuro. So it's very interesting stuff, and we get to help people, so that's the most important.
Yeah, that's honestly my favorite part, is just educating my doctors on the products and ways to make their lives better and make the patients, just overall, you're just there to just make everything right. And I just love that part about the job. So how did you hear about medical sales?
Yeah, so this is a crazy story. So actually, I'm a DJ. I started a DJ business about 12 years ago, and
Nice.
I've DJed all over the world: Miami, Singapore, Malaysia, Israel, India,
Wow.
and But one night in the club, my sophomore year of college, made friends with a guy, and we connected and got to know each other. And I asked him, because I saw he lives a pretty comfortable lifestyle. I was like, hey, what do you do? And he goes, oh, I sell surgical instruments for 𝐒𝐞𝐫. And this is right after they got bought out by Johnson & Johnson. So
Wow.
I was like, wow, that is really cool. I didn't even know about this. So
Wow.
is there any chance that I could do a job shadow with you? And he's like,
Wow.
yeah, Monday, 5:45 a.m. I'll be at your doorstep and you can ride along with me. Surgeon said it's clear, so we're good to go. So that Monday
Wow.
comes along, 5:45 a.m. I have no clue what to expect. He sent me a few technique guides. We were doing a corpectomy that day.
Yes.
Not a
Yeah.
simple case. So,
Yeah, no, not at all.
you know, um, he kind of walked me through what to do, and I got to stand by anesthesia and watch
Wow.
the surgeon do their thing, and I instantly fell in love. And my background is not quite in healthcare; it's in finance. But I fell in love with how, if a sales rep is doing their job correctly, the room will run smoothly, and it's like an
Yes.
orchestra. So it
Yeah.
reminded me a lot about music, how
Oh,
every
very
little
good way to
piece
tie it in.
matters, and one wrong thing could be a make or break in the contract. Just like in music, one untasteful thing can be a make or break in the listener's experience of a song. So
Wow, very nice.
that's initially how I got in. Okay, he
You're a
switched
good sales
companies.
rep. I love it.
Yeah, so he ended up switching companies a few months later, and I was kind of lost for a little bit. So,
Yeah.
about a year later, I was in the nightclub DJing, and I met another
Mhm.
guy, and I was like, hey, like, we were just, talking shop, and he was like, yeah, I work in sterilization with surgical instruments. I'm like, wow, that is very
Nice.
cool, because
Wow.
surgical instruments just fascinate me. How much thought and detail goes into the very smallest things. So
Right.
I was like, hey,
Exactly.
if I want to get into medical sales, because I had no idea what path to take, how to get my foot in the door, but I just kind of had a feeling in the back of my mind that if I follow the instruments, then it will eventually lead me to the network that I need to build a web on. So I worked in
Right.
sterilization as a student employee throughout college from about beginning of my senior year to, I would say, midway through the second semester of senior year. And this gave me the experience
Wow.
to know, like, what's the general instrumentation, the technical skills like that. But it also allowed me to build network with the HCPs, healthcare professionals in the hospital.
Right.
And and I would do subtle things, right? So they wouldn't let me do anything significant like build the surgical trays. My main job was actually to wrap the trays. But what I would do
Wow.
is I would
Nice.
network with the sales reps that would come down to process their trays, and every single tray I sent up,
Right.
I would write my name on it. And they would begin to notice
Oh,
that
wow.
every single time they get an Idan tray, it's correct. So, because I would double check these
Wow.
trays and then
But
sign
see,
off.
that's how you set yourself apart.
Yeah,
That's amazing. That's literally, you have to think outside the
You
box
really
when you're
do.
trying to break into medical sales. You have to, be different from others, because why would they choose you? There's close to 2 million people per month applying for medical sales positions. So why, what makes you different? And just everything you're saying is just outstanding, because it's like, wow, you even use your DJing skills to tie in how you will be an amazing medical sales rep. And I think that's just outstanding.
Yeah,
So that's a
and
great story.
and that's it, and that's still the beginning of the story. It continues on.
Wow.
So I would sign these trays and then see the reps later on, and they'd be like, "Hey, Don, thanks for that," But those little signatures would put my name in their mind. So, because oftentimes,
right, like it's like always just a reminder.
and oftentimes they, they don't really get to know the sterilization folks too well. They're just moving fast in and out, and that's just kind of how it is at the University of Iowa, just because it's so big, such big scale, and there's a pretty high turnover rate in the sterilization department at the University of Iowa. But I would do this, and something else I noticed while I was working in sterilization, I would apply for jobs, at least 2 a day, and none of them went through, not one.
Wow.
So I figured out fairly quickly that this is an industry that really comes down to who you know and who knows you. So
yes, absolutely. And networking is so huge. Reaching out to people on LinkedIn,
LinkedIn
calling them, or asking to get a little bit of advice on like the territory or something. So I truly encourage people to network, because that's exactly how I got in. I was networking as well, just reaching out to people, going to as many meetings as possible, happy hours when it was pre-COVID, and just bumping shoulders with the people that are already in the industry. And luckily it worked out, because networking is definitely key for sure.
And and one day, because I kind of let all the reps know after I got to know them, like, hey, I graduate college in 5 months, and I'm kind of looking to get into the industry. So one day, there was a shoulder case going on. There were 2 reps in the room. One of them I knew pretty well. He actually just became my next door neighbor, which is funny. And the other rep asked him, he goes, "Hey, do you know anyone who's trying to get into the industry?" And he goes, "Oh, have you met Idan from sterilization downstairs?" He goes, "No, I have not." "Oh, well, here's his contact info. Reach out to him. He's very passionate about the biz." So he reached out to me, and this was with Tournier, and pretty much focusing on shoulder arthroplasty. So I kind of worked a deal out with him, like, because I was kind of itching to get out of sterilization. It's not the cleanest job ever. Right. Not that I'm afraid of blood or any of that, but there's stuff floating around. So
yeah,
so,
totally.
He reached out to me, and he's, obviously I couldn't accept a full-time position because I was still in college, but I was like, hey, if you match my wage that the University of Iowa is paying me for sterilization, I would love to be your intern, because I need to cross intern off the list. So this is a win-win situation. And those are usually the best business deals that go on. If both sides feel like they're winning, the business deal will prosper. So,
absolutely.
So I was the intern for Tournier over in Iowa City for a little bit, you know, and I would always look for ways to increase their efficiency, you know, because some of these guys have been in the game for so long, they don't really know about some of the automations that are out there that you can incorporate into your processes to make it more efficient. And I own a marketing company on the side too.
Right.
So through that,
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
so
Very nice.
through that, I kind of became familiar with, you know, a few of these processes that we can just do to, you know, make their jobs easier with inventory. And I was basically doing all logistics stuff. I didn't even step foot into the operating room in the 3 months that I was there. But, you know, through that, you know, I just studied these technique guides every single day. And, you know, it's interesting because some of those shoulder arthroplasty trays are a little bit more complex than the spine trays, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I literally, when I'm in cases with those guys, I'm like, man, you guys are good, because I'm like just the bone girl, just coming in, cutting bone, and I'm rolling out. They're like having to name sizes, resize it. I'm like, okay, yep, much respect for you guys. Roll out.
Yeah.
So that's, it's a lot of,
you
know, a lot of materials and a lot of things to learn and know. Yeah, they're very complicated for sure. Shoulder, so much respect for you guys, because that's intense.
Yeah. So, and the thing is with shoulder is those shoulder cases, they have a lot of trays. I think we were moving about 41 trays per case, you know, and we just did that because my boss at the time, his golden rule, and this is the golden rule of medical sales, is always have 2 of everything. So we would do that, but that would also come with, you know, a lot of trays to have to carry around and check in, and, you know, so I was doing logistics for that. But then one day, you know, I was just getting done on the job, and I get a text from another guy. He's like, hey, I'm planning on moving to Des Moines. I might have to part ways with Midwest Premier with Globus, but I figured you'd be an excellent candidate to take my position. And spine has been my goal since day one, because that's what I started off with when I did the initial job shadow 2 years prior to this moment. And I was like, right away, like, yes, this is what I want to do. So we made a transition.
Right. Nice. Yeah, that's so true.
And from there, you know, I got connected with Globus Medical, and now this is week 7 of my career with Globus Medical. So I'm very new.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. So what is your favorite thing about being a medical
I think my
sales
favorite
rep?
thing is ultimately, you know, being able to help the people, you know, knowing that I'm not going to offer you a product unless I know it will increase positive patient outcomes. You know, and I don't have a medical degree in order to do so hands-on, but this is kind of a way that I could circumvent that degree and, you know, help people.
That's amazing. That is so true. That is so true. If I can do it all over again, I'll probably go back to school to be a doctor, because it's much deeper than when you're a kid. You're just looking at it on the outside looking in. You're like, oh, the doctor, they're amazing. But, you know, when you're truly working with them and you're in these cases, it's like you're watching some real deal cases. Like, it's not, you know, simple things. These are people that really need to know, like, what they're doing in order to have the best outcome, and also the reps and everyone inside the operating room. It's like, it's just a puzzle, and we all are there to really just serve this patient and make sure this patient receives the best outcome. And I will say that is definitely one of my favorite things, is really just being a part of that environment where we're able to make a change.
And, you know, it's there's always a reminder, you know, when they say, hey, have you let the family know that we're almost done? You know, it really makes you think, like, there's a lot more moving parts to this patient. You know, it's easy to think past it when you do it every day, and, you know, you see similar exposures every day, and it's easy to forget that these are people, but you really cannot lose the human aspect of the job. That is the number one priority.
Right. Wow, that's so true. That is very true. So what advice would you give to new reps out there? or that are trying to break into the industry? What
My
advice do you
advice to
have for
those
them?
people that are trying to get into medical sales is, one, make sure you really want to do it, because it there are ups and downs to it. There is somewhat of a tough work-life balance. It's not out of the ordinary to have a 12-hour day going from 6:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. standing in the same spot. And there's also an emotional aspect that plays into it. A lot of times the reps in the operating room kind of turn into the OR punching bag for the surgeon. Because they're not with the hospital, they're third party, and they didn't receive the exact training that everyone else did. So some people, may consider them to be inferior. But once you decide that this is something you truly want to do, and I'm telling you, you have to be in love with it, go for it. And how you go for it is, I would just start off with scope out the companies, because this is an industry of it's who you know. Scope out the companies you want to work for on LinkedIn. Find the people who carry the position that you have the goal of obtaining, and message them. And don't ask them to really get you into the company, but just kind of ask them, hey, would you be willing to share your story about how you got into the industry? And then you can compile all that information and begin to craft a plan of attack on how to get into the industry. And people love helping others in the field. It's what we're doing right now. And it really, that's kind of how you can help craft a plan of attack. And if anything, you can do some subtle touches here and there, check in with them, wish them a happy holiday. They'll remember
Right.
you.
Absolutely.
It's the little things.
Right.
So
that's so true.
That's my advice for people who are looking to get into the industry. And then lastly, start now. Do not wait.
Yeah.
Because
do not wait.
The longer you wait and the older you get, unfortunately, it's kind of a young man's game. The older you get
in early.
And also there's a lot of information that you got to take in at once. So for those college grads, or people who are about to graduate college, don't lose those study habits that you gained in college. Maintain those, because they will come in handy when you first get into the industry, and they expect you to learn a whole entire surgical technique inside and out, as well as a surgical tray inside and out in a week. That those habits, they're ultimately what college really gives you, because there's no classes on medical sales, how to memorize a technique guide, stuff like that. It's kind of things you have to just kind of figure out your own methods to, like me personally, I number off the steps, and I try to walk through the steps in my head. And when I can write down all the steps without having to look at any notes, and visualize what exactly is going on in those steps, that's when I know I'm understanding and fully grasping the concept of the surgical technique.
Right. Definitely. That's amazing. That's great advice. Thank you so much for all of that. Everything that you're saying is absolutely good advice, and I think it's a great thing. And I think hard work will outbeat talent any day, and the harder you work and the more you apply and the more you prove yourself, the better chances you have, because I believe anything is possible, no matter what, or no matter what the stereotype is, or whatever the odds are. I believe in, if it's meant for you, it will happen, and I encourage everyone to shoot for your dreams and go for it. So thank you so much for your time. I'm truly thankful and grateful for your time.
No, absolutely. It's a pleasure to be here, and